Aloha, shalom. I have my notes here for Parshat Korach, and tomorrow is Shabbat. So if you guys don't know, I have a private group called Shabbat Crew, and it's where I talk about Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah. And every weekend is Shabbat, Friday night sundown until Saturday night sundown. And those 24 hours are dedicated to Shabbat, the ritual of Shabbat. It's all about unifying the worlds within and without. We light candles, do other rituals to honor this unification of the worlds within and without. So it's just a time to kind of redirect your energies, slow down at the end of the week, stop your usual routine of the hustle and bustle daily grind, and focus on prioritizing spirituality in your life and mental and spiritual expansion, to be specific, right? So Shabbat is a time for having elevated conversation with people that you love, with your family, with your friends. It's about planting trees, planting new life, working in your garden, and it's about just tuning in to your heart and your soul's path. And it's like, wow, we should really be doing that every day, all the time, right? And that is the goal ultimately in Jewish mysticism, is we want to get to the land of Shabbat. We want to live in a world, we want to anchor in a world where it's always like this. But for now, we start with the 24 hours because it's the best we can do, right? And most of us in this modern world aren't even doing that. We're not even giving one day, some of us, not even one moment. We're not even dedicating one moment to this path of deep presence. So the world needs this now more than ever, which is why I'm so passionate about Shabbat, for those of you who didn't know yet. I'm so passionate about it because I really believe that if there's one ritual, and the Kabbalists say this, not just Jewish Kabbalists, but Kabbalists, people who follow the science of life, they will say this, that if there's one ritual that could help to change the world, it's Shabbat. So that's why I focus my energy on this. So anyway, tomorrow's story is called Parshat Korach. And Parshat means Parsha, it means portion, the portion of the Torah that we're focusing on. So every week there's a particular story in the Torah, and when we look deeply into the story, we extract a message of wisdom that is applicable and relative to where we are at this place within time and space. So Shabbat and the stories, the Parshas, are not involved with the Gregorian calendar, you guys. It's the Hebrew calendar. It's very different. It's based on a different cycle. It has its own sacred rhythm. And every time we're facing a specific Parsha or lesson, it's always perfectly aligned with the times. So with that said, let's talk a little bit about Parshat Korach. I'm not going to go super deep into it. I'm just going to give the main message. And I have my notes. Okay, so in Korach, in this story, Korach is the name of the man who starts this rebellion against Moshe, against Moses. And he gets 250 men with much power, these holy priestly figures, to rebel against Moses. So he's not alone. He gathers people to prove his point and to be, a part of this rebellion. The main point is this, you guys. The last couple of stories leading up to this one, if you recall, all right, so we had Parshat Bechalotcha and Shalach, right? These two stories that we just went through were a lot about punishment because the Israelites, or the Hebrew people, had been ungrateful, right? You recall when they were wandering the desert and they were tired of the same food they were getting. They were tired of the manna. They wanted more and more and more, and so they were punished for that. Right? And then we have in Shalach the story of the spies that we spoke about recently. Again, they were punished because the spies went out and they brought back a bad account of the Holy Land, and they had doubts in themselves and in the Creator. And so they were punished for that. So what does that mean? The punishment is always just falling farther from source, forgetting. And in the end, all those veils that are put between us and source serve us. In the end, it's always for our highest good. So even the punishment is for our own good, right? It's like a good parent knows when to set those boundaries and when to set the punishment for the child's own good, right? And so this is what Creator did for us, was every time we were ungrateful or doubted the Creator said, you know what? I'm going to put you farther from me until you learn how to be grateful, until you learn how to direct your own conscious free will to move closer to me. In fact, I want it to be your choice. I'm going to push you farther away and see how much you really want me and how much you're willing to sacrifice to bring yourself closer to me, because you need to earn this. And it's for you. It's not for me. Creator says this is for you. This is for you to exercise your own free will and to develop your faith and to develop a sincere love for not just me, Creator, but for the me which exists within all things, for you to find that love for life, for creation, for yourself. Okay, so the punishment was, I'm going to push you farther from me. And you can see this as a like a regression in consciousness, okay? It's like they were more forgetful. They started to forget their connection to the divine. They started to become more powerless, more full of doubts and fears. But Moses wasn't punished because Moses remained grateful in those times. Moses was the leader of the people, and he tried to make them see, you can't behave this way. You can't be ungrateful. You guys are forgetting. Like, did you forget how far we've come from Egypt? In fact, the Israelites were referring to Egypt as the land of milk and honey. They're like, we want to go back. They want to be small. They want to play small. They want to put themselves back in the box because they felt at least safe with their certainties there. At least I know I'm a slave. At least I know. But what is the price of that certainty? It's a fall from awareness. Now we're reflecting the original fall from Eden. We're going back, but it's okay. It's always only to move forward eventually. And so these people were punished in a sense that they fell back, okay? They regressed on their path. But Moses never did. He wasn't included in the punishment. He kept going with his trust and with his faith in Hashem. And that's why he was given the position that he was given. That's why he was entrusted by God. That's why he was the one appointed to be the leader of all these missions as they continued on, as the people continued on their journey to Israel. And so at this point, the people there's a big gap, there's a big separation between their level of consciousness and the level of consciousness which Moses was at. So here comes Korach, and he's like, who are you? Why are you so holy? Why do you think you're better than all the rest of us? We're all God's congregation. We're all holy. And Moses is like, sure, but like, who's actually doing the work though? Like, are you actually doing the work? It would be great if everybody could be so priestly. It would be great if everybody could be at this level. But the truth is, we're not. Not everybody is. And so Korach was like, oh, everybody, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Moses thinks he's so much better than all of us. And they were like, you know what? You're right. And it was easy for them to believe Korach because, you know what? His consciousness was understandable to them. His consciousness was accessible to them. So when they heard him speak, they were like, yeah, he's right. And they wanted to band with him. So it's sometimes easy for the evil powers that be to rope in the masses, to be against the light. When there's such a gap in consciousness, that light, like the light that Moses was shining, is inconceivable. And what we don't understand, we reject. So because of that gap in consciousness, due to all the punishments and all their lack of gratitude over the last few weeks, the last stories that we read, it separated them so greatly from Moses that although Moses didn't focus on the separation, Moses didn't see it as, they were lesser than him. They were seeing it that way. They were seeing like, this guy thinks he's better than us. And he's like, I never said that. That's not what this is, And so this is the main point of this story here, that the greater the light, the more people can't understand it. It's like if you raise yourself to a certain level of awareness where you develop new features because of that level of consciousness that you're at, do you think everybody's going to be able to see those features if they're not at that level of awareness? No. And so that's what was going on here between Moshe and the people, between Moses and the people. They couldn't see those features. And all it took was for one spark of darkness, one man, Korach, to attack him. But he still stayed strong. Moses still stayed strong. And he said, I'm still going to trust in Hashem. I'm still going to trust in his plan. And I trust that if all these people are attacking me, then God's going to have my back. And Hashem is going to pave the way for the next step in this progression here. And so what happened, the ground opened up and swallowed those people. The ground opened up and consumed them. And something really crazy, actually, I just heard yesterday in the news that I was watching one of my favorite podcasts, by the way, and the rabbi was saying that in Jerusalem, in one of the hospitals in the parking lot, there was the ground opened up. The ground opened up the other day, that there was a sinkhole in the parking lot of a hospital in Jerusalem. And the rabbi's going, oh my God, like, is anybody realizing that we're in Parshat Korach right now, where it literally says the ground opened up and consumed them? And what is that a metaphor for as well? Like, the ground opened up and consumed them. It wasn't like the sky opened up and elevated them. It's like they sunk even lower. They sunk to the lowest of the low. They went beneath the ground. It's metaphorical. It's saying that your doubts towards someone else, towards something outside of you, your need to focus on something outside of yourself and put that down, put any one person or any group of people down, is only going to pull you down to the ground and below it. Any energy you waste on shaming someone outside of you or on trying to play God and judge who's holy and who's not, all that time you waste doing that is just futile, and you're going to be pulled to the ground. You're going to be pulled lower than ever before so that you can learn what it feels like to be there, and so that you can begin to activate your will to, again, move yourself back closer to God. You're going to sink lower so that it's up to you to learn the lessons you need to learn and to do the work you need to do to get closer to God. So Moses wasn't destroyed because of this attack. Moses pulled through with his faith, and he trusted in the plan. And these beings were literally pulled into the ground. So that's the main point of this parsha, Parshat Korach. We're in a very difficult month, Hebrew month right now. And this is the time where those parts of ourselves, those shadows, reveal themselves, and we either do what we need to do to transform them and to reveal the light that's hidden within, or we get pulled deeper so that eventually we inevitably return to that space where we review it. You know, it's a cycle. So perhaps next year, if we don't get it this time, perhaps next year at this time, we'll reflect and go, oh, I learned that lesson. Okay, I'm ready now. So it's okay wherever you're at. You're going to be fine no matter what. But you'll be better off if you can right here, right now, learn from this story. Especially because this is the story right now for a reason. You are supported right now more than ever to do this particular work. The lesson in Korach is directly applicable to all of us right now. How can we hear its call and say, all right, I'm gonna finally do the work to stop looking outside of myself, stop judging who's holier and who's not. And I'm just gonna look at myself and see what is the work that I can do. What is the work that I can do? And also, how can I perceive the holy in the mundane? Because I was writing quite a bit about this here. The holier something is, the more it is concealed. The greater the light, the more people look at it as ordinary or mundane. So how can we find the light in the ordinary? How can we find the light in the mundane? Okay, because Korach also had a good point when he said, well, are we not all holy? Well, of course. Of course we all are. Of course we all are holy. So how can we find that holy spark within ourselves, within all things, especially in those things that we judge to be mundane or not as holy? Especially in those things. Look at those things where we maybe judge it as normal or plain, mundane, and see the light inside of that. All right, you guys, I hope you have an awesome Shabbat tomorrow. I'm going to go to the group now, Shabbat Crew, and I'm going to post some of my favorite resources and articles that you might want to check out yourself in order to get in that right mindset to be most receptive to the wisdom in tomorrow night's story. Again, it's called Korach, Korach, and you can see it in the title of this video. Thanks you guys for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the Shabbat candle lighting. Shalom.